Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest. His name is Dennis Carson. Last name is spelled Carson. If you're watching this on YouTube, X, Rumble, Rockfin, you'll see the cover to his new book. The full title is Every Killer Leaves a Trace: The Fatal Mistakes That Finally Exposed America's Most Elusive Killers. And we're just talking the pre show. He's written another book. This book was published on September 2025. He wrote another book a few years ago. Writing is under a different name. It's title of that book is Bonded Through Injustice, about a first federal death penalty case in Orange County, California. But he also worked very closely with the late Ed Winter, well-known LA County coroner to the stars, whose notable cases include the tragic deaths of Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and many others. He also worked with Dottie Owens, the renowned former Idaho coroner, and Lena Evans, Alabama's current coroner, who's known for her unwavering pursuit of justice. He also has worked with a New York judge with decades of experience, Dr. Wesley G. Jennings, one of the world's leading criminologists, and Dr. Ashley Wellman, a certified forensic death investigator. But we're going to talk about this book. It covers a bunch of cases. I've had guests on talking about Bundy or Warnos or Lonnie. I think his name was Lonnie Davis, who was the guy who was the Grim Sleeper. I did a book. That was really one of my first interviews, was with the author, who I can't remember, was Lonnie David Franklin. Excuse me.
Yeah, Lonnie David Franklin, right?
Yeah, he was something else. But anyway, he can talk more about that. So Dennis Carson, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. So let me go back to Ed Winter.
Great.
Yeah, Ed, unfortunately, has now passed about 2-3 years ago. But Ed was a wonderful teacher and a wonderful human being. And I want to share a funny story with you, if I may, to sort of
Please do. Yeah, please do.
So one morning I called Ed for something, I can't remember what, but in any event, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and he answered the phone, which was unusual. And so he told me later on, we were scheduled to have lunch at a restaurant in downtown LA. And so he relayed this story on to me, and I'll just give it to you the way he laid it on to me and my attempt at humor at the end. So he said, I was in my office this morning alone. Nobody was there. That's unusual. The phone rang. I picked it up, and this gentleman identified himself, and he said, my name is David. I won't give you the last name right here. And he said, I'm a chef and here locally, and I killed my wife, and I cut her up into pieces, and I boiled her in these huge vats that we have in the restaurant for 4 days. And while I'm talking to you, I'm eating her left arm. And so I looked at Ed, sort of stone-faced, at my poor attempt at humor, and I said, Ed, did you happen to ask this man if he made a side dish to go with the arm? Well, okay. So the conversation at the table stopped right there. That was just too much for everybody. But anyway, so yes, Ed taught me an awful lot. We worked on a lot of things together, and some of them made sense to work into books, others didn't. And at the end of the day, after Ed passed, I just thought, I really, really don't want to try and do anything without Ed physically helping me and being there and taking credit for part of the story. So that's what happened with Ed. But on the other folks, Lina and Dottie, yes, they've been very much a part of this book and of another book I have coming out shortly. And
do you have a working title for the new book?
Yes, 2 deaths, one explanation, one reason. 2 deaths, 1 reason.
Can you give me a brief outline of the book, or is it still kind of hush hush?
No, absolutely, no problem at all. So it's 2 cases, and the cases occur on the East Coast, and one involves a young woman who was found upside down in a trash bin with the lid closed and naked. And she was in that can for 29 days in 27-degree weather. The coroner ruled it accidental death. Give me a break. The second one was a gentleman who he could not use his left hand because it was injured in an accident many years ago, and he was found in his office chair with a gun in his lap and a bullet hole to the left side of his head, which is impossible. He couldn't use his left hand to fire the weapon, and you couldn't really move your right arm and hand all the way around your head and fire the shot. And even if you did, not being a person familiar with weapons, which he wasn't, the weapon would fly out of his hand and somewhere into the room. Well, the police photo, alleged crime scene, he was sitting in his recliner, and the gun was in his lap, in his left hand. Impossible.
Right.
That was ruled a homicide. Now, the bottom line is, and I can't give you this because it will ruin the book, is there's a reason that these two cases were so messed up and not ruled properly, and it all stems from another individual. But that's forthcoming.
So it's 2 murders, 1. What was the name of the working title?
2 murders, 1 excuse, 1 reason.
1 excuse. God.
Yeah.
Thanks. So Ed Winters, and then what was the kind of genesis of this book, Every Killer Leaves a Trace?
Well, the whole idea was to back away from what people normally think of these serial killers. And I wrote this book not in a David Muir kind of 2020 true crime manner. It's sort of more of a narrative. In fact, it is a narrative, which people who have reviewed the book say that's really one of its biggest pluses, is because it's comfortable. Even though these are terrible cases, it's not gory. It's not matter-of-factly, so to speak, like a David Muir. It's more like a fictional narrative.
Right. So you have these 22 coverages of these killers who make mistakes. Like, a lot of these killers should have been found, right? A lot of them should have been found earlier because it's like people weren't noticing their mistakes. Would you agree with that? Did you find that theme?
Absolutely. Some of the mistakes were stupid. One killer, this is the one that's my favorite reason for them calling them stupid. He used the victim's debit card. Come on.
Right. And yeah, it's like I think Gacy should have been caught way too many times. Same with Dahmer or some of these other characters. Like, they were not as operationally competent as people might think.
Well, yeah, and look at Resendiz, Angel Resendiz, known as the Railroad Killer. He drifted from state to state to state, and he bought tickets on the train. Excuse me, how simple is that to track the guy?
Right. Yeah. I mean, same with Ramirez, right? So Ramirez was moving around and leaving traces and staying in hotels and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, really, you got to think about it. Some of these guys are really, really very stupid. And one of the things that I pride myself in with this book is that when I looked at each case, I looked at has this particular case, been aired on TV? Has it been a podcast? Has it been this? Has it been that? And the one that struck out in my mind was Rodney Akala, known as the dating game killer. And they did an episode on TV, 2 hours. And here's the thing about this. They only covered from him going on the dating game and killing that first woman. They ended the show. They forgot about the other 20-some killers.
Right.
So, I mean, they really never told the story. And that's the thing that I set out to do with this book. I wanted to tell the story, the whole story. Whether you like it or not, this is the story.
And he was another one who, like, wasn't that competent, but he was able to carry on his murder spree for decades, right?
Yes, he did. And I can't remember the number. I want to say it was 120 girls he killed.
It's just an incredible number. One of
Yeah,
the things that struck me is that he came out of the army, right? Like, he had a army psychiatrist. Did you ever find out that person's name?
no, I didn't. And
Yeah.
I looked and I looked and
Wow.
I just couldn't come up with it. And you
'Cause
know,
it's right around the time these guys were tampering with people, and it's just he's so strange. Such a strange person, Rodney Akala.
I know. And you know, one of the things about this team that you mentioned earlier is, and I'm bringing this up because of Akala. You know, I questioned everybody on the team. What do you know? What can you tell me? And I came up blank. Really strange.
Wow. That's wild. Yeah, so Akala is one of the ones. I mean, one of the other ones is Israel Keys, a very strange multi-jurisdictional serial killer. Like, I did a book about, I mean, I covered an author who wrote a book about him, but he may not have been as, I think that what the people, they can't comprehend what these guys think like, but I don't think that he made mistakes too, right?
He didn't realize he was making the mistakes. That's what's interesting. Um, he thought he was in the clear all the way along down the road, and he was so far out of control. It was unbelievable. And he was caught basically, um, you know, from science, investigative forensic science, and that's what nailed him. And the thing about Keys is, you know, he had a really bad attitude. He thought, hey, you know what? I'm never going to get caught. I don't make the same mistake twice. Blah 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 blah. Guess what? He did. So
What was the mistake he made twice?
um, let me see. I'm going to see. I might catch my notes here.
That's another guy who came out of the military. My understanding is that his military records are sealed to this day. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
Hmm. Were you able to look at his military records?
No, I couldn't get a hold of him.
I don't
I
think anybody can. So it's probably you're just confirming that is that his military records are missing. But he was supposed to
yeah,
be a high level operator.
right. Um, so his mistake was he thought he was in control, and he was far from being in control. Um, so he thought everything he did was systematic and in control, and at the end of the day, he was totally out of control. And and that's what happened. You know, he's a strange bird. Um, I didn't in these 26 episode or chapters, one episode or one chapter per killer. I didn't feature anybody over and above anybody else. I tried to give everybody, you know, the right amount of attention and tell the right story. And some of them, um, you know, were a little edgy on from the standpoint of really, do you want to tell this story? And I don't know how far you want me to get into this, but there's one of them that really caught my attention insofar as being just a crude human being, and I won't get into
Yeah,
the.
go into it in detail, whatever you like.
Okay, so this particular killer, he um, um, his name was Cameron Hooker, by the way, and he's known as the Girl in the Box Killer. So what happened was this woman, Colleen Stan, was hitchhiking from Northern California. She was trying to get down to Westwood in the LA area for a wedding. And she was hitchhiking, and Cameron pulled over, and she asked her if she wanted a ride. And she looked inside the car, and there was Cameron's wife, and the wife had a baby in her arms. So she thought it was cool, you know, okay. So she got in the car, and when they got to his house, um, he put her in a box, and it's like a coffin. It was a wooden box, and she was kept in that box for 3 years underneath his bed. She was allowed out of the box once a day to go to the restroom and eat crackers and peanut butter. But here's the point about this story that it made me just get up from my desk and say, okay, I'm done for the day. I can't. That's it. That's it. And what I'm getting at is this: he one Saturday afternoon he invited all of his buddies over to watch him abuse and torture Colleen. But where I drew the line on that's enough is that he stripped her, he put her in a chair and tied her down. He spread her legs and he took some warmed up turkey gravy and poured it between her legs. And then he told his dog to go lick it up. That did it for me. That guy ranks as probably the worst I've encountered.
Yeah, I've never heard that story. That's a terrible story. They
Absolutely.
don't think that that guy was she was the only one that he abducted. So he like abducted and kept her in the box. Like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, for 3 years. And how he was caught is his wife um, was a partner in the abduction and the torturing and etc. Until one day she just said to herself, "I've had enough." So when he took off to go somewhere for the day, she let Colleen out of the box. They went to a neighbor and they called the authorities, and that's how it happened.
That's how we finally got busted.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just it's one of the darker tales you could ever imagine. It's just really
yeah,
sad.
absolutely. I mean, come on, give me a break. Another one that's pretty dark, in my opinion, is um, the killer clown. I'm trying to find his real name.
Gacy,
Yeah,
Gacy.
Casey, right. I mean, being a clown and doing the thing with the kids and blowing the balloons up and all that, that's all great. But when this guy got home, how many men did he kill? I can't remember. It was like 40 some of them. And
At least those are the ones they know.
yeah, exactly. Those are the ones they know about. Wow.
Yeah,
What a character.
yeah. He's Gacy's really something else. Like I mean, the other thing is he should have been caught way before that as well. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's no two ways about that. He definitely should have been caught way, way, way before that. And one of them that, how about this guy, Kyler Yost, the car burning killer? This is
mm,
strange. Every girl that he killed, he had to burn their car. Why? Not with them in it. After the fact. Why?
I don't know. You tell me.
No, I could never find out. It was crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then this, how about let's try Bobby Joe Long, the classified ad rapist. Here's another classic. Every girl that he killed after the murder, he put an ad in Amazon in the classified ads, and said, if you want to commit the best throat slicing, this is the best knife you can use. If you,
Wow.
yeah, if you want to tie somebody up and you want to make sure they don't get out, this is the best rope you can use. Now, where's that coming from?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I said some of these cases are so strange. Um, you probably noticed I did include one female out of the 26.
The
Eileen,
all famous Eileen Warnos, right?
yeah, how can you miss her, right? Uh, but people ask me all the time, you know, what did you think of, of female serial killers? And the answer is there's only one that comes to my mind.
Right. She's like one of the rarities. That's another one who should have been caught. Like she was just on a killing spree of Johns. I guess they just didn't care that much that these poor prostitute purveyors were getting killed, right?
Right. And her girlfriend should have turned her in way sooner than
Right. Wow, it's really incredible. And you have kind of like a longer kind of view of Israel Keys, right?
that. Yes, I do.
Can you talk about that?
Sure. So Okay. He was framed, has been framed as a rare serial killer who planned better than everyone else. The real story is he traveled constantly. He avoided obvious patterns, cached weapons years in advance. That's interesting all by itself, by the way. Um, think about it. He's planning to go to these various cities and states, and he plants weapons in those cities and states ahead of time. Interesting.
Right.
Um, and what got me about it is he thought he was invincible. He was totally misunderstood. No two ways about being misunderstood. Um, and you know, uh, he was part of where he broke down was the randomness of his data. He wasn't consistent with the way he did things. Um, and he did things that led right back to him, like cash withdrawals, um, detective sound surveillance footage, rental car records in his name. Hello,
Right.
you know, border crossings, things like that. Come on, he's going to get caught. He just didn't think he was going to get caught. That's, I guess, the bottom line. You know.
Right. Tons of records tracing him around. If I remember, his final abduction was in Alaska, right? Wasn't it outside of Anchorage?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah, I think so. Um, but anyway, yeah. So Keys. I thought that Keys was the one guy that really got my attention because of all the things that he did, and like setting up these kill kits in various states ahead of time. That takes a lot of forethought and planning. I know. Okay, I want to know. I want to know. I know I'm going to go to Poughkeepsie. I'm going to bury, kill kid Poughkeepsie. I'm going to bury one in Brooklyn. Come on, you where's that coming from in his head that he's thinking that far out there that of where he wants to perform another kill?
Right. Right. Um, it's just his crime spree is incredible. And when he was in jail, I think he like wrote 12 deaths head, but he was only attributed about 6 or 7 or 8 killings. Is that right?
I think you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, something like
yeah.
that.
And I want to go back to the team for a minute, if you don't mind.
Please do.
So, while Ed was around, and I have nothing but great things to say about Ed Winter. I mean, he was a wonderful human being and a great collaborator. Um, so, I do work with this judge. She's an administrative law judge, and where she fits into this whole scheme of things is she says, "Wait a minute, that can't happen that way by the law. It can't happen." And you and I, and God knows how many other people in the literary world just think it can happen. But here's a judge who says, no, that can't happen. And that, I think, is an important part of adding credibility to this book because there's nothing there just can't happen.
Expand on that? What do you mean by that? It can't happen. That
Well, like court procedures.
okay. So
Yeah.
like you've got right. I see.
Right. And detective investigations. So that is not the way it can happen. And I've worked on and off with various detectives across the United States. And there was a case I looked at, and I didn't do anything about it, but I'm still in touch with the detective. It was a case out of Dallas. And this young woman was found uh, in pieces in a hotel room. And she was a hooker. There's no two ways about it. But the detective um, he just wasn't comfortable telling the way it was, and that's why I didn't go any further.
Hmm.
And that's interesting. I mean, I don't know why he wasn't comfortable with it, but he just wasn't. He says, "I'm sorry, Dennis. I can't go there."
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
The when you say that Ed Winter was a collaborator, what do you mean by that? Did he help you write this book?
No, not at all. Um, but he led the way and guided me insofar as the correct procedures that would happen in an autopsy, in an investigation, and the you know the guardrails of a medical examiner, and the proper procedures in the room for the autopsy.
I see.
And that takes me back, by the way, to this new book. Um, both autopsies on these two individuals I spoke about, there were four medical examiners in the room. Now, according to Ed and according to the judge, that's totally improper. One, yes. Two, maybe. Four, no. And the four were not other medical examiners, by the way. They
Why
were
did they have so many people in that room then?
to um, to make it valid that that's what the autopsy showed. And what was interesting is they claimed in the autopsy report, they have four signatures, and I have the autopsy report, I can show it to you, and all four of these people signed off. Reality check is they weren't in the room.
Wow.
Only one, the actual medical examiner, was in the room.
So they just did it to affirm the so-called accidental death, which you found out wasn't true, right?
That's correct. Exactly.
How often do you think that happens in these medical reports, that the medical reports are fudged? Because that's kind of like what's coming up with this whole Epstein thing.
You know, I don't want to say that it's a regular so-called daily occurrence, but it does happen. You know, Lina and Dottie have told me they've seen these cases. There's a case that I think Dottie did, and I could be wrong. Could have been Lina, on a funeral home, and they had 4, 5, 6 medical examiners in a room. Come on, you know, and when they got the case, when the autopsy was handed to them to verify it, they said it's impossible. These things just don't happen.
Right. Well, that was just, I mean, you talk about Ed Winter. He did he was the coroner for Whitney Houston. People say that was improbable, that she drowned in a freaking bathtub in a nice hotel in Beverly Hills, right?
Yeah, it was the Beverly Hilton.
Yeah.
And I know the hotel well. The reality is, Ed said it was possible.
So he
But it was possible only because somebody held her down.
Oh.
Right.
But it was brought out as an accidental drowning, right?
Correct. But the bottom line, Ed said no.
Wow.
No. A human being, natural reaction, you're going to jump up and you're not going to stay underwater. But she was underwater because somebody held her down.
Wow. That's a lot different than what the public story was, although I heard rumors around the time of her passing.
Yeah, that was not the public story. You're right. But
well, that's, you know, there's different stories. OJ's, I actually don't even believe OJ was the only one on scene that night. That's also kind of close. Well,
yeah,
somewhat close to Beverly Hilton. I mean, where that crime scene happened, and I think even the coroner said that there was other footprints, or one of the investigators said there it just was improbable for people to believe. But so these things do happen. I mean, the public conclusions may be different than what the coroner's saying.
Yeah, and you know, Ed and I talked about that at length on several cases, and it's true. It's true. These things are not as cut and dry as what is released on paper to the public. It just isn't the case.
Right, that's right. And then like she died, and then they went and party, and then her daughter died. That's what the heart of the personal story is saying in the comments.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I know.
Such a shame. She was so talented, man. Whitney Houston's amazing. So is Michael Jackson. I mean, these are super talented people.
Well, you know, let's talk about Nipsey Hussle.
Let's do that. That was supposedly the story I heard. South Central. He opened a kind of retail place. Somebody shot him, right?
A marathon clothing store.
Yes.
Yes, he was shot by a guy that he wanted to do business with Nipsey, and Nipsey refused. and they got into an argument at the store, and this gentleman left, and he came back and he shot him. And
That's the
Ed,
cover story, right? That's the public story.
that is the truth.
Okay, that's the truth. Okay.
Yeah, that is the truth. Ed was involved in that, and we had long talks about it. I've seen pictures of the crime scene that were not released to the public, and it's pretty disgusting. I got to tell you. I mean, you know what? You can kill somebody with one shot, right? Why do you have to shoot him 5 times?
All right, he's angry.
Yeah, it's anger. Exactly.
It's a murder.
Exactly.
It's a shame. It's probably also jealousy. Like the guy was trying to give back to the community, and
Well, and even to this day, Nipsey is remembered. The marathon is still going strong.
wow,
Yeah, it really
that's
is.
good.
And, you know, um, it,
He's on like murals here in LA. I see his face around often.
oh yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
nobody can forget the parade for his funeral. My God, the city stopped.
yeah, he had an effect. He left an effect on a lot of people. Like
Yeah, he did.
he's kind of outside of my kind of culture, but I'm aware that yeah, aware of his cultural impact. I guess.
He had a very major impact. Yes, he did. Very true.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. He didn't deserve it. What other big cases did Ed Winters work on?
Let's see. He did. Wow, I'm thinking now. Oh yeah, Brittany Murphy.
Oh wow, what was his take on Brittany Murphy? Like it
Well,
was weird too. You want to talk about the Whitney Houston deaths of her and her daughter, but it was Brittany Murphy and then her boyfriend died too, right?
hmm so the public doesn't really know, and probably never will know, because Ed isn't here to tell them um, what happened. The bottom line is somebody killed her, and it wasn't the boyfriend; it was somebody else. And I am not at liberty to tell you who, but it was somebody else killed her. The boyfriend was part of the scheme because he was going to inherit, but what he thought he was going to inherit, he wasn't going to inherit. A relative of hers was inheriting it.
Right. So he thought that he was next in line for her money or something like that, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
And so then he dies mysteriously, kind of like a mysterious overdose too, right?
Same thing. So there you go. That tells you there was a third party, and that third party had everything to gain. That's the long and the short of it.
Wow, that's incredible. And but he, do you think he really accidentally died, or do you think somebody got him too?
No, he was killed.
Okay, so they both got killed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no maybe about it.
Yeah, wow. So these are so much different than like what the public's told. Like the mysterious death of Brittany Murphy. That's the way it's presented in
I know.
kind of TV or true crime. But then like people are like, no, you just
You know,
may not have. Sometimes these people don't get prosecuted for a wide variety of reasons, and some of them are that the prosecutors may not have a solid case, so they don't want to look bad, or there's a lot of personal political things involved in like prosecutions. People think that these prosecutors aren't influenced by politics or their careers or their personal lives or their level of courage, or there's a lot involved. Not every prosecutor, like the I can't remember what her name was, but like I prosecuted 40 cases and I won 40 cases. That means you never took a risk in your entire freaking life on anything. So that means that like we just need cut and dried evidence to put this person in jail. So a lot of these,
that's
you know,
an area where my judge team member comes into play because she breaks it apart and said, no, that isn't the way it happened or could happen.
could you be more specific? What do you mean?
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think what I could talk about openly.
Well,
Um,
I mean, are you agreeing with me? Or are you saying that's not the case, or what? What I mean, I don't know.
no, I'm in
It
total
feels like
agreement.
a non sequitur. Yeah,
No, I'm in total agreement with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean,
And
the public sometimes gets mystified. Like they're left hanging. Then people are prevented from saying stuff. They're not allowed to break certain obligations of their attorney privileges or their, professional responsibilities. So a lot of the stuff never makes it out to the public, and we're just left like, oh, Miss Brittany Murphy overdosed or may have overdosed or she had mold or some stories just go around, but they're just
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
And
preposterous stuff.
you know, there's a case that the judge has been working on. She's been part of it. She's a former prosecutor, by the way, um, a district attorney, and it's a case where um, this gentleman did things that are unheard of in insofar as the world of torturing, and and she's been talking to me about writing a book about it, um, but I don't think there's enough meat in it. Um, I think it would make a good 1 hour episode on television. I think that, but I don't think there's enough to make a 300-page book out of it. But it's an interesting concept, and and when she broke it up, when she told me the story, she says, first I'm going to tell you the story, then I'm going to tell you why it couldn't happen that way. And when you listen to that, you go, holy crap, she's right. It couldn't happen that way.
Right. That's the strange, and a lot of journalists don't get that. They don't understand the kind of hidden mechanics behind the
No, they
legal
don't.
profession stuff, yeah,
Yeah, they absolutely don't.
the politics and things like that. Like it goes the other way. Some of these prosecutions are based on pure politics. Well, we've seen it with Trump, but like they're not even like real criminal cases. Like they will go after people for political reasons and not focus on actual real criminals, which is really shocking.
Yeah,
So it works both ways.
that's right. It does. And
Um,
some of them are I don't want to say they're crazy. Some of these killers, somebody asked me a question a long time ago at a book signing. Do you think serial killers are mentally ill? That's an interesting question. And if you think about it, there's got to be something off in their head. I wouldn't call them mentally ill necessarily. I can't give a medical diagnosis, but there's something wrong. Why do they do it?
what do you think it is? Do you have an answer for that?
No, I don't. Um, I've asked, I asked Ed that question. I've asked the coroners, and Wes Jennings. I mean, look at his credentials. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. Um, and he tells me, you know what? I the hell if I know. That was his answer. The hell if I know.
It has to be a mix of like, if these guys are all pretty much having sex with their victims, it must be a mix of sex and power. And then you hear the same phrases with these killers is they have a godlike power over life and death, and they like it.
Hmm.
They like that. They like that. It gives them a feeling of power. Not to like be the best athlete, not to like be the smartest guy in class, not to be the best looking, the best swimmer, but this is their kind of thing is like I can do this and then I have power over whether you live or die. Like
Yeah.
it's their skill set. Like that's Alcala or these guys who kill a lot. Gacy. Like he had an MO that he was able to use over and over again, and it was his forte or whatever you want to call it. Like I think that's it. Like
And it worked.
it worked for him. I mean, there's
It
like
worked.
50 dead. That guy was moving around in really weird places and had weird connections. He was connected to this guy Norman through one of the guys he was working with, so he was part of a network. Yeah,
Right.
and that's where it gets really scary. He was traveling around to the Midwest and stuff. And there were kids who were found in water, like, oh, so yeah. And I think another commonality is either you're in the military, you've undergone a massive amount of trauma, or a literal brain injury when you were
Right.
younger.
That's right.
It's a lot of
That's
that.
right. One of the stories that I found interesting, and I've lived in LA all my life, um, is the Hillside Strangler of Bono and Bianchi, um, and that was a little bit ahead of when Ed took office with the LA County coroner.
Did he take Noguchi's spot right after he left?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Did he take Noguchi's spot? When Noguchi was the coroner before him, is that right or not?
No, he was the
It's
coroner
not.
after.
Right. So was he the what I'm asking is, was he the coroner? Was Ed Winter the coroner right after Noguchi retired?
I
Was
believe,
there somebody in between? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine.
But Ed and I talked about the Hillside Strangler, and he said, it was before my time in this office, but it's an interesting case that these two clowns drove around and, lured these young women into their cars and killed them. He says, I would have loved to have been on that, but it was before his time. And he says, I can't tell you any more than what you probably already know.
Wow. Do you ever, like there's the kind of infamous medical examiner in the film Chinatown, which takes place in LA. And he's sketchy. Do you think what's your take on the levels of corruption in the municipal kind of medical office, coroner, police department in Los Angeles?
I personally think that it's pretty straight up.
That's good.
I don't think there's a really big problem per se in LA. I will tell you that in Idaho, as you probably know with the Kohlberger case, Lina tells me stories about, uh, people that don't walk the straight line in their offices. And she says it's rampant in Idaho. It really is. I've asked the same thing of Dottie with Ohio, and nothing. I mean, she says it's clean. So go figure. One dirty, one clean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Noguchi worked from 66 to 83, but he had so many big cases too. It's crazy.
Yeah, he did. He did.
It's off the charts. Monroe, JFK, or excuse me, RFK.
RFK, right.
Janis Joplin died in LA.
Yeah, now the RFK thing was interesting. That was at the Ambassador Hotel, which I don't even know if it's still in existence.
They scrubbed it and tore it to the ground and put up a high school.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The Ambassador was an interesting place.
It was kind of like a go-to nightclub spot too, right? Didn't it have some kind of tiki bar and multiple levels and really fancy?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. And the interesting thing about, and this is back to my living in LA, is that the people that liked the Ambassador Hotel, there was a Chinese restaurant, for the life of me right this second, I can't bring it back to mind. It was on Pico Boulevard just before La Cienega. And if you went to the Ambassador, you ate there. And if you ate there, you frequented the Ambassador. Don't ask me what the connection was. I have no clue, but that's what it was.
The city was much different back then and the tastes were different, but they had a lot of driving places and people used to drive, like the marina in West LA was very popular and people would drive there for night spots. Like there was a Fijian style, restaurant that was back when the tiki bars were big.
Right.
So that whole style was it's really changed. It's just not the same. It's just
no, it really isn't.
And it's a lot harder to get around. I don't know if it was as trafficy back then as it is now, but back then you could kind of shoot across the city, is my understanding. Whereas
not anymore.
Overpopulated. The infrastructure isn't meant for this many people. That's for sure. I've lived in LA for 25 years, so I know.
Oh, you have? Okay, well,
Yeah, it's not designed for this kind of population. It's
not at all.
Anti-civilizational is what I would put it.
Right.
I mean, it's not optimal. Like if you have to drive like 10 miles, it takes you an hour. Something's wrong. People have just adapted to it. Dennis, we are at the 45-minute mark. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything I missed, or anything you'd like to leave us with? Or
no, I think we're good. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time on your show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. And is there any way for people to reach you or talk with you if they have any questions?
Yeah, they can reach me from my email or leave a message on Amazon on the book's website there.
What's your email address?
It's Dennis J as in John, Carson, Carson, at outlook.com.
So you're at Outlook. Dennis J. Carson at Outlook.com.
Correct.
And the book is available now. You can get it anywhere. He says it's hard to get it at Barnes and Noble, but they'll get it to you the next day, right? 24 hours.
You get it the next day. If you order it on Amazon, you'll have it the next day also.
But you can also get it on Kindle, so it can be automatic. There's an audio book. I
Yes,
think it's read by somebody else. It's not
I
read
know.
by-
I know for a fact you can get it on Kindle book because my next door neighbor bought it on Kindle.
Nice. And your narrator is Warren Duploy. What an interesting name. How did you find him?
I'm sorry again.
You have a different audio narrator for your book. Are you aware of that?
Yes, and that was not my choice. That was a recommendation from the publisher.
Okay.
And I've listened to a good deal of it, and I think he's okay.
Okay. That's good. And
Yeah.
hardcover and paperback. So there's all kinds of different formats.
Yeah, you can't miss it. It's got it. You're going to find it one way or the other.
And there's a lot of different stories we didn't even cover, but there are gives you an overview of how many of these crazies are out there and how they get caught. They get caught by people calling people or just people being aware, or sometimes it's not through the police.
You
It's
know,
through
they get
concerned
caught.
citizens.
You could write a book just on all the ways they get caught.
Yeah, yeah, it's just different things and different people are primed. Like Ramirez was LA. He got caught in LA because people had seen his face and they chased him down after he got off the bus. Like
Right.
he ran into the Latino neighborhood in East LA or something like that. Somebody
Yeah.
hit him with a metal pipe, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
He deserved it. Again, the author is Dennis Carson, Carson, and the full title of the book, Every Killer Leaves a Trace, The Fatal Mistakes That Finally Exposed America's Most Elusive Killers. And it just came out in 2025, September. So go check it out and go get it now. Dennis, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Take care. You too. Stay there.